Why do you think it is today that a lot of American men are going overseas to find wives?
I cannot relate.
I've not seen any women crying over passport bros.
Not exactly crying, but there are definitely a lot of videos out there of women making videos about men who are seemingly rather confused why men wouldn't want to date women in their own countries.
However, I have seen a lot of women laughing at passport bros, because we can replace men like you with cats and dogs.
That is really great news, because that means there's soon to be a great reduction in the homeless pet population.
But y'all have to literally go to another country because no other woman in your own country wants you anymore.
No, that is not why some men are choosing to go to other countries in hopes of finding their life partner. It's because many aspects of modern society, to include some aspects of modern feminism, has turned the dating pool for men into a veritable cesspool of toxic behavior.
That's what we call a whole cope, honey.
Actually, that's what we call men making the best decisions for themselves, their futures, and their mental health.
Done with entitled, ungrateful, high-mileage women in the West demanding provider status while offering nothing but an attitude and an OnlyFans link. Done with 50% divorce rates, false accusations, alimony, traps, and child support jails. Done with feminism lies. You're toxic if you want a feminine, loyal, fit, debt-free, low body count. So he grabs his passport, flies to Colombia, Thailand, Philippines, Ukraine, Brazil, anywhere but the US. Places where women still value men. Cook, stay slim, don't weaponize sex, and see marriage as a partnership, not a paycheck. Stats don't lie, my friends. US women initiate 70 to 80% of divorces. 60+% of Western women, 18 to 30, are obese or overweight. The average Western woman, 7+ sexual partners by the age 25, and that's backed by the CDC. 43% of U.S. men under 30 are celibate, rejected, or priced out. Foreign wives, lower divorce rates, higher happiness, traditional values, actual gratitude. Passport bros aren't running, they are upgrading. So I'm with you guys. Smarter, not weaker. West failed the men, so men left.
Western women are loudly panicking as more men quietly pack their bags and look elsewhere for dating and marriage. What's being framed as a betrayal is really just men responding to incentives. Less hostility, more appreciation, and fewer lectures per conversation. Apparently borders work better than dating apps.
Are you talking about the passport bros? That's what you're talking about, right? Do you know that these women have like Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups where they pass all your photos around and they pick the one that they think is going to be the dumbest, the stupidest, and give up the most money, and then they'll be kind to you. They'll be everything you ever wanted while draining your pockets. They're playing your game. Don't think that because they're in a country that you think they're supposed to obey men, that they're dumb. Women are very smart, very, very intelligent. They know what they're doing. They know that you're going to come over there and think they're going to be these quiet, behaved women for you, and they will be. And then they're going to train you. They'll give you children, and then they hope and pray that you don't last very long, and then they'll get all your money. They want to come over here. They want green cards. They know what they're doing. These women are very smart. You're the one that's silly, goofy. Bye-bye.
Why do you think it is today that a lot of American men are going overseas to find wives?
I cannot relate. It is the real thing, but it's just insecurity. Think overseas, go overseas, babe. I completely disagree because it takes a whole lot of courage, a whole lot of self-confidence, somewhat of financial stability, and a passport, which a lot of chicks don't even have, for a man to go overseas and find his wife. And actually, really be the ones who are complaining about men leaving the U.S. to find their wives. It be the women themselves. Isn't it true that you hear so many women online talking about, leave, we don't want you here, leave, go find yourself a doormat, leave, you think you're better than everybody else now since you have a passport, where are you going? Basically, women are shaming men and insulting them for trying to do better for themselves. I hear women talking about they want to do better for themselves all the time. So what's wrong when a man wants to do that for himself? Unfortunately, some women in America are not submissive, they are way too masculine, and they don't want to cater to a man. So girlfriend, you may look feminine, but if your attitude stinks, what is a man supposed to do besides moving on? And then you're gonna be mad at him for it and call him insecure?
For years, men were told they weren't good enough, weren't needed, and should constantly prove their value while accepting shrinking returns. Now that some men found environments where effort is met with enthusiasm instead of suspicion, the outrage suddenly kicked in. Funny how choice becomes offensive when men use it.
Never in a million years did I ever think I would sit down and make a video of this caliber right here. But over the last week, I have seen so many women come alongside and show me their true colors as wives that I feel like the men deserve to have a female come alongside of them in their defense. Based on these female comments, this is why marriages started failing decades ago, and men are becoming passport bros. Western women are too brainwashed to think it's all about them. I have to say, as much as I have defended my sisters, as much as I will always stand up and protect them against abuse and infidelity, as much as I will rally with them and support them in their growth and chasing their dreams, I have to say that after seeing so many angry women who don't even listen, they're waiting to respond. They're not receiving information, they're just waiting to respond. I have to say I agree on this comment here a whole lot. Not saying that for all women. Obviously, there's some women like myself who understand that our husband's needs are equally as important as our own. Their feelings are just as important as our own. And their needs are to be considered, and their work and their effort to be appreciated. So I know there's a lot of wives like myself that are like, my husband and I are a team. We are united. We are one. But there are so many women that have come on angry, very angry women out there that are saying my body and nobody's touching it, and no, my husband's not going to touch me, and men coming on saying like, my wife won't let me touch her. It's been 10 years. It's been 15 years. Do you know how much of a shame it is that you have taken this beautiful gift that we have as a married couple and turned it into some of the disgusting things that you guys have commented in those comment sections of those videos, including that it is the R word. Not one time in any video that I ever make, before, now, or in the future, will I ever say that if someone says no and you are married, you have the right to do it anyways. You will never hear me say that. When someone says no, it is no. Unequivocally, it is no. The answer is no. Once someone has said no, or they have expressed they're not interested, it is no. You are to respect that and those boundaries. What I said on the video, and had you women actually been listening and paying attention and received the information, instead of being so willing to snap, to jump back, to get angry, to say you want to report me, all these other things, had you actually listened to receive that information and actually paid attention to the hundreds, if not thousands of men that were husbands that commented that this is a need for them, and that this is one of the reasons that their marriage failed, that they weren't considered, that they weren't heard, that their needs weren't met. Had you ladies actually taken the time to pay attention, you would have realized you were wrong. One, the comments that you left were not even regarding to the video I made. You heard what you wanted to hear, and then you got angry because you were probably in the wrong side of your relationship, and then you snapped back instead of receiving the information. And when you snapped back, it has nothing to do with the video. It is because you were upset, you were offended, and you decided to twist it and turn it into your own little scenario to fit your cause, and you ran with it.
Social media calls these men insecure, desperate, or predatory, yet the men look relaxed, focused, and surprisingly unbothered. When insults don't work anymore, the panic gets louder. Name-calling isn't a substitute for leverage.
To the point where I had one lady this morning who I was going to post a picture of, but then I thought she would feel like I was just picking on her. If you saw the picture, you would understand. But she was going to report my account because I was talking about marriage between believers and what it should be. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like my stance on marriage. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to agree with the Bible. This may not be your platform. This page, everything I post about relationships and mental health and the Bible and faith, it may not be for you. But when you tell me that you're going to run and report me, you're telling me you're also weak-minded and that you are probably the problem in your relationships. When you tell me, when I say one thing and you come back with a comment that has nothing to do, you will not even find that scenario in any of my videos, and that's the comment you come back with, you're telling me that you do not receive information and you are probably the problem in your marriage. if you women are so angry at these men, maybe it's time you stop for a second and you consider how selfish you're being. And you considered if you're listening and receiving information, and you considered how much of a priority your husband actually is to you. Because what I'm hearing from all the guys say is that women just want them for their money. And then after that, there is no appreciation. There is no valuing them. There is no consideration. There is no respect. There's nothing. It's literally give me, give me, give me. And when they can't, or when they're tired, or they're exhausted, or when they're empty because nobody is reciprocating that same energy and effort, then you're getting angry at them for not giving you more. And what I hear the women say is, I don't have to give more. I shouldn't give more. I don't have to listen to his needs. If you are not a Bible-believing follower of Christ, a lot of my content will not apply to you. If you are just a believer, like the devil is also a believer, the Bible will not apply to you. You will live however you want to live, say that you believe, do your own thing, and that is a whole lifestyle in itself, and that is your choice. You do not have to listen to me. You don't have to follow along. You don't have to anything. You can just scroll, baby, just scroll. But if you're going to follow me, I'm going to tell you exactly what the Word of God says, and you don't have to like it. There's things in there where, if I'm upset with my husband or something, and I don't like it, or I don't like him for the moment, I still have to follow that, whether I agree or not, because that's what the Word of God says. And a lot of you have this mentality that, well, if I don't agree with it, if I don't believe in it, if I'm not okay with it, if I don't accept it, then by goodness, my feelings and my thoughts and my needs and my wants are so much more important than my husband's. You're wrong. You are wrong. Your husband deserves your love. And for a man, how he receives love and what his interpretation of love and needs and wants are a whole lot different than a female's. And from a woman's perspective, you don't have that right to look at another person, male or female, and say, these are your needs, these are your wants, and anything above that is wrong, or anything different than that is not okay. You're not the judge, jury, and executioner. And for a lot of you wives, you're playing that role in your husband's life, and you need to get off your high horse and realize that that's why your marriage is failing, because you are not the most important person in your relationship. You are not the priority of wealth of information for your relationship. You're not the leader of your home. You're not supposed to be. And I think a lot of you, from reading your comments, are very angry women. And I want to encourage you, if you are one of those angry women, if you are one of those women who have been traumatized, or you're one of those women who have had bad experience in relationships, or you have an unhealthy view of intimacy within a marriage, I want to encourage you to heal and to grow and to just become open, because not only are you punishing your spouse by being so angry and hurt and broken from it, but you're punishing yourself because you are missing out on the blessings of marriage and what it's supposed to be. I'm not the end-all be-all for what is correct in a marriage, but for myself, and for my husband, the Bible is that end-all be-all for us. And if it says it, we believe it. And if that's not for you, it doesn't have to be. Respectfully move along. But why stay? It tells me so much about you when you as a woman choose to stay, to follow, to take those extra steps to block me. What are you so afraid I'm going to say? The truth that your husband's going to hear, and he's going to realize that you are not fulfilling your responsibilities as a wife because you just don't love him enough to do it? Like, what are you afraid I'm going to say that bothers you? Or are you just upset because you are so set in your ways and in your mindset that you can't find a good man, that you can't keep a good man, because no matter what he does, no matter how much he pours into you, you're just selfish and you keep taking more and wanting more and never considering the fact that there are thousands of men that have now said, yes, it's important to me, that maybe you're wrong. And that maybe just because you don't feel it or think it or receive it doesn't mean that it's not correct or what they need. A lot of you are trying to play the judge, jury, and executioner here, and you're supposed to be a wife. You need to decide if you want to love your husband, or if you're trying to mother your husband, or if you're going to boss your husband. But if you really want a happy, successful, thriving marriage, you need to understand that your position as his wife is so important. And part of that importance is treating him as a human being and loving him and respecting him and his needs as much as, if not more than, your own.
The real issue isn't that men are leaving, it's that they're leaving happily. Nothing triggers a meltdown faster than men who stop arguing, stop defending themselves, and simply opt out of the culture war entirely. Peace is very disrespectful to outrage economies.
So I think that this is a great opportunity to talk about passport bros and men going overseas to find partners and what this is really, really speaking to. So one, I have no qualms or problems with men going overseas to find a wife. You are a free person. You're a sovereign individual. You get to do whatever you want. I don't have any personal qualms with it. I think women overseas are great. I think marriages between people of different cultures is really great. I have no issue at all. However, what I want to speak about is that very often when men go abroad, when they go abroad to date a woman, what they're doing is they're often avoiding their patterns and relationships and thinking if they just go somewhere else, they will have a different experience. And it's sort of like when you're having problems where you live and you decide to move and then you experience the same problems, or you have the same patterns that come up in relationship even though you're dating different people. It's essentially that you think if you just change your physical environment that the patterns will change. But in reality, the patterns are something that you are experiencing inside of your body, and those patterns are just being pushed out, right? You are just the universe pushed out. So whatever you're experiencing, you're going to see externally. So you'll see in these shows specifically, the shows are great because you can see the sort of ins and outs, is these men go abroad thinking they're going to get this fantasy. And in reality, there are expectations that they have, right? There are expectations that women in Thailand have. There are expectations that women in the Middle East have that most people just don't know about. And so anytime you have a partnership or relationship or anything that is law-based, right? There's going to be some expectations. There's going to be some, especially in many parts of the world, when you marry a woman, there are things like dowries. There are things like, there are expectations from family members. There's all kinds of cultural context that you're going into that you really need to like study. And like, as someone who has been abroad and lived abroad with people, I lived in Taiwan when I was 17 for 9 months, and I lived with people, like being in relationship or marriage with someone from a different culture it can be such a powerful transformational experience. But if you're not willing to grow in your own country, you're definitely not willing to grow with a woman from a different country. Because learning different cultures and customs is ego disruptive. You have to change. You have to do things differently. You have to be willing to give certain things up that you may have been accustomed to. And frankly, men in the US are pretty entitled. Let's just be honest. Women are entitled too. It's a cultural thing. And so, though I am so supportive of you just doing whatever you want to do, date whoever you want, you cannot escape your own patterns of behavior and your own dynamics in relationship by going abroad. You just can't. And even the drizzle of Oz himself, I see him sort of going throughout the globe, right? And he said he's like, he can, date whoever he wants, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's happy, right? You can have all the money in the world to date whoever you want, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're happy. So to the passport bros, your karma is your karma, no matter where you are in the world, but I support you doing whatever you want to do. And if you do want to work on your relationship patterns, I have a class going on the 27th. I'd love for you to come. The link is in my bio. It's called Whole Men's Masterclass. See you there.
Western dating culture taught men that commitment meant constant compromise with little appreciation. Abroad, many men are finding femininity without hostility and partnership without paperwork-level negotiations. Turns out cooperation is attractive everywhere.
There's also a sort of subculture, I'm not sure if you've come across them. I think they call themselves passport bros. Do you know these guys?
No.
I think they call themselves passport bros.
Okay.
But they're
this is a good one.
sort of related. Someone can fact check me. But there's definitely a group of men that's related to the men going their own way movement. But it's men who are opting out of trying to find a woman in their host country, in their native country, and are going to more either traditional cultures like Slavic nations, the Russias, the Ukraines, the Balkan states, where there's a clear divide between men and women and gender roles and stuff, and finding women that are more interested in settling down. Or Asian women, Southeast Asia, often nations as well, where women can't afford to be so choosy and picky with men. So really fascinating. It's different to like mail order brides, I suppose, but similar in a way.
You guys, I just figured out what the passport bro trend is. Never did I know what this was. I kept getting so many comments and I finally decided to look it up. A lot of people were trying to connect the trad wife movement with the passport bro trend and how they're similar. So let's unpack this. So if you don't know what the passport bro trend is, it's where men are coming to the conclusion that there's not as many ultra feminine, submissive, and traditional women in the Western part of the world, such as the United States. And they're packing their bags. They're out. They're getting their passports and they're going to Europe. They're going to the Philippines. They're going to countries where traditional women are more common and traditional values are practiced more. I did see this toxic hookup culture part of the passport bro trend, and I do not agree with hookup culture or anything like that. However, the underlying reason this is a thing is because men are realizing that women in the Western part of the world are really chasing after money, independence, a career, and these men want women who ultimately just want to be a wife and a mother, and they're submissive and they're traditional. And yes, there's pros and cons to this idea, just like anything. I mean, I don't necessarily think you have to leave the country that you are in to find a wife, but there have been men who have left the country to find their wife. So now I'm going to chime in with my thoughts. What are the possible cultural differences happening here? Personally, I see women here in the United States chasing independence and freedom away from their family. Statistically, the number of single 18 and 19-year-old girls getting into apartments or living situations with roommates has skyrocketed. Why? They don't want to live with their parents and be told what to do. Whereas in these other countries where traditional values are practiced more, these girls are staying close to their family or living with their family until they find their husbands. These women and young girls are getting guidance from these male figures in their family, such as their dad or their brothers. They're protected from outside interference and influence from their family. It makes sense. The idea of living with your parents past the age of 18 is kind of looked down upon here in the United States. Like, oh, you live with your parents still? Yeah, what's wrong with that? You're protected, you have guidance, and you're waiting for your husband. You don't have to work crazy hours to support yourself. It makes sense. My conclusion is I understand why this is a thing. There's pros and cons, but I get it.
Now we're told this is a crisis, a threat, even a moral failure. But it's hard to frame men seeking happiness as wrongdoing without admitting something went wrong at home first. The smoke alarm only sounds after the fire starts.
So I did a video earlier talking about how women go to other countries looking for American men to, get with. And I said, it's amazing to me how those women will follow those men out there after criticizing them for going to different countries to find women to either, date or marry. But they'll like those women to follow those men out there and then be surprised when those men don't want them, particularly black women. But I also wanted to say that they have an issue with that because they know that them going out there to try to actually deal with the men from those places is a lose-lose situation for them. Because if you're going to these countries where they're not as, financially stable, that means that you're going in there making more money than them, which means you're honestly putting yourself at a disadvantage for the type of man that you want, right? So you're going to chase the men that have the money to go and do whatever they want out there, or you assume they do. They don't want you. But then you also don't want the men from those local places because you also want to be taken care of, right? So what basically happens is that American women have no place to go for the type of man that they want. Y'all want men that are going to take care of y'all, but you also think that you're going to be making the decisions as a woman in that relationship. And you'll find out very quickly, even if you were to go to different countries that have men like that, they're way more traditional than America is. So America is the only playground that y'all women have. Because in order for you to get the man that you want in different places, you have to be a different type of woman that you've already decided that you don't want to be, which is why the men of America are leaving America to go to those different countries. So the problem is that women have problems with passport guys because they can go places and find what they want, but women can't go anywhere outside of America to find what they want, because what they want is a man that would only exist in America. Other countries are way more traditional and expecting way more traditional values as far as how you keep yourself up, how you behave. Like, you're not going anywhere outside of America to find that. Like, your only pool is America, and so it puts you at a disadvantage. And that's why the women are really mad, because they don't have a place to go that men do. Like, men could go anywhere, especially black men. They talk as much crap as they want about black men, but we are wanted in other countries. Very much so. That's not the case for the women. Because you'll go to different countries and your behavior will not be appreciated. See, as a man, we go over there and we're always expected to be, you know, the protectors and providers anyway. So we can lean into that role, especially if the finances are a lot more conducive. But you guys want to be taken care of. So you going over there with your finances doesn't help you find the man that you want, because all you're really doing is how Stella got a groove back, and you're getting somebody to take care of it. And that's not what you really want. And this is why men always are going to win this situation, because what men want, they can go out there and pretty much pay for. Even if it isn't real love, but they want romance or whatever, they can pay for romance. I wouldn't advise it, but they can. They can pay for romance, they can pay for cooking, cleaning, they can pay for everything. But what women want, y'all can't pay for. Y'all can't pay for a man that's gonna pay for you. Y'all can't pay for a man that's gonna take care of you and love you and cover you. That you can't pay for that. And so that's why I think a lot of women are much more upset about men going overseas, because even if women try to follow them, y'all can't get those men that left because they know they didn't want y'all, that's why they left. And y'all can't get the men that's there because those men either need you to take care of them or they're expecting you to be a certain type of woman that you just will not be. So you're kind of stuck. And I think that's why the passport bro movement is so hated by women, is because they recognize that it can only work one way, unless a woman is going out there to legitimately take care of a man, which is not what they want. They really don't have any options but to stay here in America and deal with the pickings that y'all say y'all didn't win in the first place. It's crazy, right?
So yes, as more men become passport bros, the crash out continues. Not because men owe anyone loyalty to a broken system, but because consequences don't care about hashtags. Geography just became accountability.
Men didn't vanish, they just stopped caring. And that's what's shaking the system. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for next video.